She said it was just another business trip, but I never imagined the truth waiting behind her lies. What I uncovered would not only shatter my marriage but change my life forever. This is the shocking story of the business trip betrayal. When I look back now, it feels almost impossible to believe how perfect my life once seemed. I was married to the woman I thought was my soulmate. We had built a comfortable home together, filled with laughter, shared dreams, and quiet evenings that felt like they would last forever. To the outside world, we were the couple everyone admired. Friends often told us we were relationship goals, the type of pair that made others believe in love again. And in many ways, I believed them too. She was beautiful, intelligent, ambitious, a woman who carried herself with confidence and grace. Her smile had a way of disarming my worst days. Her voice softened my anger and brought me peace. She was my partner in every sense of the word, or so I thought. I trusted her with everything. And in return, I believed she trusted me the same way. It started with her telling me about a new project at work, one that required travel. At first, I was proud of her. I admired her dedication and the fact that her company valued her enough to send her on these important trips. I never doubted her for a second. I even helped her pack her bags the first time, kissed her goodbye, and told her to go make me proud. That first trip seemed normal. She called me every night, her voice warm and reassuring. She described the hotel food, the endless meetings, the exhaustion of long presentations. I listened with patience and love, proud that she was handling so much responsibility. I had no reason to suspect anything. But as time went on, the trips became more frequent. At first, once a month. Then every other week. And eventually, it seemed like she was away more than she was at home. Still, she always had a perfectly logical explanation. Always a reason that made sense. And I always believed her. Because when you love someone, suspicion doesn't come naturally. It sneaks in slowly, like a shadow crawling into a well-lit room. The first moment of doubt came one evening. She was away again, supposedly at a hotel for a conference. I called her late at night, just to hear her voice. She picked up quickly, almost too quickly. Her voice sounded off, nervous, hesitant. And the background was quiet, too quiet. No hotel noise, no traffic, no sounds of a bustling business environment. Just silence. When I asked where she was, she answered quickly. At the hotel. Her tone was rushed, as if she wanted to end the conversation. I brushed it off, convincing myself I was being paranoid. But once doubt enters the heart, it never really leaves. I started noticing little things. She carried her phone everywhere, even into the bathroom. She changed her passwords, something she had never done before. She began buying new clothes, dresses she wouldn't normally wear, and perfumes I didn't recognize. When I asked, she said it was all part of keeping up appearances at work. I wanted to believe her. I told myself that maybe she just wanted to impress her clients. But deep inside, a small voice whispered otherwise. Her absence at home grew heavier. Even when she was with me, it felt like she wasn't really there. She was distant, distracted, lost in thought. Conversations became shorter, laughter became rare, and intimacy turned cold. She started falling asleep facing away from me, her phone clutched tightly in her hand. And when I tried to hold her, she would gently push me away, whispering that she was too tired. I kept convincing myself it was stress. I told myself she was under pressure at work, and that I needed to be patient. But the truth was, I was losing her. Slowly, painfully, I was losing the woman I thought I knew. There were nights I lay awake staring at the ceiling, wondering what had changed. Had I done something wrong? Was I not enough? Or was she simply too overwhelmed with her job? Every answer I gave myself felt empty, but I clung to them anyway, because the alternative, the possibility that she was lying to me, was too painful to accept. Then came the small lies. She would say she was working late at the office, but when I called her desk, no one answered. She claimed she was in one city, but her social media would show a picture that didn't quite match her story. At first, I ignored them, telling myself that everyone forgets to update their spouse on small details. But in my heart, I knew these weren't small details. They were cracks in the foundation of trust we had built. I remember one night vividly. She came home late, claiming her flight had been delayed. She smelled different, not of airports or exhaustion, but of strong cologne, one that wasn't mine. When I asked about it, she laughed nervously and said it was probably from someone sitting next to her on the plane. I forced a smile, but deep down, I knew that wasn't the truth. The distance between us became unbearable. I started to feel like a stranger in my own marriage. The woman I once held so close was slipping away, and no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't reach her. I wanted to confront her, to demand answers, but fear held me back. Fear of what I might hear. Fear of the truth I wasn't ready to face. And so, I stayed silent. I kept playing the role of the supportive husband, while inside, doubt ate away at me like poison. Every time she said the words, "business trip," my heart sank a little deeper. Because a part of me already knew, those trips weren't about work at all. The days following her departure felt heavier than usual. At first, I tried to keep myself occupied, work, errands, even late-night TV, but there was a lingering silence in the house that gnawed at me. Every creak of the floorboards, every empty seat at the dinner table reminded me that she was away. It shouldn't have felt unusual. After all, people traveled for work all the time. Yet, something about this trip felt off. She had left in a hurry, almost too hurried, as though she wanted to be gone before I could ask more questions. And the way she said, "Don't worry about me, I'll be fine," still rang in my ears. Normally, she would say, "I'll miss you," or "I'll call when I land." But this time, she seemed distant, detached. On the second night, I decided to call her. The phone rang, and rang, until finally, she answered. Her voice was low, muffled, almost as if she were whispering. "Hey, sorry I didn't answer sooner," she said. I smiled faintly, trying to shake off the unease. "It's all right. How's the conference?" There was a pause, just long enough for me to notice. "Busy. Really busy. Lots of late sessions and meetings." I nodded, even though she couldn't see me. "I just wanted to hear your voice. You sound tired." "Yeah," she replied quickly. "I'll call you tomorrow, okay? I have to go now." Before I could even respond, the line went dead. I stared at my phone for a long moment, confusion mixing with doubt. She had never been one to cut conversations short. In fact, she usually complained if I didn't talk long enough. Something didn't add up. Over the next few days, the pattern repeated itself. Short, hurried calls. Excuses about meetings. Text messages that came hours late. I tried to convince myself I was overthinking it, that maybe this was just the stress of her work. But deep down, an unsettling voice whispered, "She's hiding something." One night, as I sat in bed scrolling absent-mindedly through social media, a thought crossed my mind: what if I checked her activity online? She wasn't much of a poster, but maybe she had liked something, shared something, anything that would give me a glimpse into her world on this trip. I searched. Nothing. No updates. No photos. No signs of life. For someone supposedly attending a big conference, there was an unusual silence on her end. People at conferences often posted pictures, selfies with colleagues, group dinners. But her digital footprint was empty. Then came the slip. On the fourth day, she texted me around 10 p.m. "Just heading to bed, early start tomorrow. Love you." I almost let it slide, until I noticed the timestamp. It was 10 p.m. here, but the city she claimed to be in was 2 hours ahead. That meant it would have been midnight there. Was she really just going to bed? Or was she somewhere else entirely? I decided to test her. The next morning, I called her at 7 a.m. sharp my time, which would have been 9 a.m. where she said she was. She didn't answer. I tried again. No response. An hour later, she finally called back, sounding groggy. Sorry, I overslept, she said. I frowned. Overslept? But you said you had an early start today? Didn't you have meetings? There was a pause, then a forced laugh. Yeah, I guess I was more tired than I thought. Her voice cracked slightly. It was subtle, but I caught it. She was lying. That day, a storm of doubts filled my mind. I remembered how distracted she had been weeks before the trip, how she had suddenly taken a greater interest in her appearance, buying new clothes, spending more time on her hair and makeup. I remembered the secrecy with her phone, how she angled the screen away from me when texting. Pieces of a puzzle I hadn't wanted to solve were falling into place. By the fifth night, I couldn't take it anymore. I called one of her close friends, pretending I just wanted to check if she was doing all right. Hey, have you heard from her? She's been so busy with the conference, we barely get to talk, I said casually. Her friend hesitated. Conference? I thought she was visiting family out of town. My stomach dropped. The ground beneath me felt like it cracked open. Family? That wasn't what she told me. I swallowed hard, trying to mask my shock. Oh, maybe I got it mixed up. Thanks anyway. When I hung up, my hands were trembling. She had lied. Not just about the conference, but about the entire reason for her trip. That night, I couldn't sleep. I tossed and turned, haunted by questions. Who was she really with? Why would she lie so boldly? And most importantly, what was I supposed to do now? The next morning, I confronted her over the phone, careful not to reveal my source. So, I began slowly. How's the conference going? She hesitated. It's fine. Busy, you know. I clenched my jaw. Strange, because I ran into someone who thought you were visiting family instead. There was a sharp silence on the other end. My heart pounded in my chest. Finally, she spoke, her tone icy. Why are you checking up on me? Because something doesn't feel right. I shot back. You've been lying to me. Where are you really? Another pause. Then, with an edge to her voice, she said, I don't have time for this. I'll talk to you later. The call ended. That was it. The confirmation I dreaded. She hadn't denied it. She hadn't explained. She had just deflected and shut me out. In that moment I knew I was standing on the edge of a devastating truth, one that would shatter everything we had built. And I had no choice but to find it, no matter how painful it would be. The silence between us grew heavier after that last phone call. I tried to go about my day, pretending everything was fine, but every time I glanced at my phone, I felt a sting of betrayal. She was lying. I knew it in my bones. But knowing wasn't enough. I needed proof, undeniable proof that would either destroy my suspicions or confirm my worst nightmare. So I did something I never thought I would do. I opened her laptop, the one she had carelessly left at home. She always used her phone for everything, so I wasn't expecting much. But when I opened the browser history, my chest tightened. Flight bookings. Not to the city she claimed, but to another place entirely. My hands trembled as I scrolled further. Hotel confirmations. For 2 guests. I felt sick. My stomach churned as though I had swallowed fire. Every fiber of my being screamed at me to stop, but I couldn't. The truth was right there, bleeding out of the screen. My wife wasn't at a business conference. She wasn't even visiting family. She was in a hotel, with someone else. The betrayal sank deep into my veins. I thought about the nights I had stayed up waiting for her calls, the times I had reassured myself that she was just busy, the moments I had doubted my own instincts. And all along, she was in someone else's arms. I clenched the laptop shut and paced the room, my mind racing. Should I call her out now? Should I wait until she came home? My rage burned, but so did my heartbreak. I had loved this woman with everything in me, and she had torn that love apart without hesitation. When she finally returned from her so-called trip, I could hardly look at her. She walked in with a smile, carrying her suitcase, acting as though nothing had happened. I miss you, she said, leaning in to kiss me. I stepped back. Don't, I muttered. Her smile faltered. What's wrong? I stared at her, the weight of everything I had discovered pressing down on me. You tell me. How was the conference? She froze. Just for a moment, but it was enough. Her eyes darted to the side, her lips tightened. Then she forced a laugh. It was fine, exhausting as always. Why? My heart pounded. This was it. The moment of truth. Because I know you weren't at a conference. Her face went pale. What are you talking about? I took a deep breath, my voice trembling with fury and sorrow. I saw the flight tickets. The hotel reservations. For 2 people. Do you think I'm a fool? She opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. The silence was louder than any confession. Who is he? I demanded, my voice breaking. Tell me who he is! Tears welled in her eyes, but they weren't enough to soften me. It's not what you think, she whispered. Not what I think, I exploded. You lied to me. You looked me in the eyes and told me you were going on a business trip. And the whole time, you were with him. Don't you dare tell me it's not what I think. She covered her face with her hands, sobbing. I didn't mean for it to happen. My heart shattered. The woman I trusted most, the woman I had built my life around, had destroyed it all with those words. How long? I asked, my voice hoarse. She hesitated. A few months. I staggered back, the room spinning. A few months. While I had been working late nights, planning our future, dreaming of a family, she had been sneaking around with another man. Why? I whispered. Wasn't I enough? She shook her head violently. It wasn't about you. I don't know what I was thinking. He made me feel alive, he made me feel wanted. Her words cut deeper than knives. And what was I? Just background noise? The man who paid the bills while you played pretend? She reached for me, but I pulled away. The sight of her hands, the same hands I had once held with so much love, now made me sick. I gave you everything, I said, tears streaming down my face. I trusted you with my soul. And this is what you do to me? Her sobs filled the room, but they meant nothing. They were the cries of a guilty woman, not the tears of someone who had been wronged. I turned away, unable to bear it any longer. The memories of our laughter, our late-night talks, our whispered promises, all of it felt like ashes now. Behind me, she pleaded. Please don't leave me. I made a mistake. I'll fix it. I'll do anything. But her words were hollow. Once trust is broken, it cannot be pieced back together. Not like this. I faced her one last time, my voice steady despite the storm inside me. You didn't just betray me. You betrayed us. You destroyed the life we built together. And no apology will ever erase that. She crumbled to the floor, weeping uncontrollably, but I walked away. Every step felt like 1,000 knives, but I kept moving. Because I knew if I stayed, I would drown in her lies. That night, I lay awake in the guest room, staring at the ceiling, wondering how my life had unraveled so quickly. The woman I loved had become a stranger. And the home we shared had become nothing but a prison of memories. For the first time, I realized that love alone is not enough. Trust is the foundation. And without it, everything collapses. The house felt colder in the days that followed. Not because the temperature had changed, but because the warmth of trust had vanished. Everywhere I turned, there were ghosts of what once was: our framed wedding photo on the wall, the mugs we bought together on vacation, the bed where we once whispered dreams into the night. Now, those memories mocked me. They weren't symbols of love anymore. They were reminders of lies. She tried to talk to me, again and again. Every morning, every night, she knocked on the door, begged me to listen. Her eyes were swollen from crying, her words desperate. It was a mistake. I'll never do it again. We can fix this. But how do you fix a shattered heart? How do you glue back the pieces of trust once they've been ground into dust? I listened in silence at first, then eventually told her the truth she didn't want to hear. I can forgive many things, but betrayal is not one of them. You killed the us that existed. And I can't bring it back. Her sobs echoed down the hallway as I shut the door. That sound still haunts me, but I knew then that I had to choose myself over the illusion of love she was offering. In the quiet that followed, I reflected. I asked myself over and over, where did it all go wrong? Was it me? Did I fail to love her enough? Was I blind to the signs? But every time I replayed our years together, I came to the same conclusion. It wasn't about what I lacked. It wasn't about what I did or didn't do. It was about her choice. She chose deception over honesty. She chose betrayal over loyalty. That realization was both painful and freeing. Painful because it confirmed that I had no control over her actions. Freeing because it reminded me that I wasn't the one broken, she was. The days turned into weeks, and slowly, I began to rebuild myself. At first, it was unbearable. Waking up alone, eating at a table that once held 2 plates, falling asleep to silence instead of the rhythm of another's breath. But in that silence, I began to hear something new, my own voice. The voice I had lost somewhere in the chaos of betrayal. I started going for walks. At first, just to escape the suffocating walls of the house. But soon, those walks became therapy. I noticed things I had forgotten to appreciate. The rustle of leaves in the wind, the warmth of the sun on my skin, the simple joy of breathing fresh air. Little by little, life reminded me it was still worth living, even after heartbreak. Friends reached out. Some offered sympathy, others shared their own stories of betrayal. And that's when I realized something important. I wasn't alone. Betrayal, as crushing as it feels, is a wound many carry. Some hide it, some share it, but we all feel the sting. And knowing that gave me strength. One evening, I sat down and wrote in a journal, something I hadn't done in years. I poured every emotion onto the page, the anger, the grief, the confusion, the loss. But I also wrote about hope. Hope that one day I would heal. Hope that one day I would love again, without fear. Hope that I could turn this pain into purpose. It wasn't easy, and it wasn't quick. Healing never is. There were nights I broke down, nights I replayed the confrontation in my mind, nights I wanted to scream at the unfairness of it all. But with each passing day, the pain dulled. It didn't disappear completely, but it stopped controlling me. Eventually, I made the hardest decision of all, to let her go. We sat down together one last time, the weight of finality in the air. She begged, pleaded, promised. But I shook my head. I deserve more than promises, I said softly. I deserve loyalty. I deserve honesty. And you can't give me that anymore. She cried, but this time, I didn't flinch. I had already grieved the loss of us. This was simply the closing of a chapter. Walking away wasn't easy, but it was necessary. And in that choice, I found something I thought I had lost forever, my dignity. Time passed. The wounds began to scar over. I discovered strength I didn't know I had. I learned that pain, while cruel, can also be a teacher. It teaches you what you will and will not accept. It teaches you to value yourself. And most importantly, it teaches you that even in the face of betrayal, you are not broken, you are resilient. Now, when I look back on that so-called business trip, I don't see it as the end of my story. I see it as the beginning of a new one. A story where I rise from the ashes of betrayal and build a life rooted in truth, trust, and self-respect. And if there's one lesson I carry with me, it's this: love is beautiful, but without trust, it's a hollow shell. Never let anyone convince you that betrayal is just a mistake to be brushed aside. You deserve better. We all do. So to anyone listening, who has felt the sting of lies, the knife of infidelity, know this: you are not alone. And though your heart may ache now, healing will come. The pain will shape you, not destroy you. And one day, you'll look back and realize the betrayal that once shattered you was actually the moment that set you free. Because sometimes, The end of a love story is the beginning of discovering yourself.